Welcome to the Karen is Here segment, where we dive into tales of excessively demanding Karens who think the world revolves around them. Today, we've got 3 unbelievable Karen encounters. From public meltdowns to bizarre demands, these stories showcase the outrageous behavior of Karens taking entitlement to the next level. First one is when a Karen mistakes our OP, who is also a customer, for a Walmart employee, leading to an absurd and unforgettable encounter. From r/I don't work here lady, not my store, not my problem. For the record, I do work for Walmart, and did at the time of the story. My oldest niece goes to college just a couple hours drive from my home. Every so often, I'd make the drive out on my day off to visit with her, and make sure she had everything she needed. Her mom covered the rent on her apartment. She walked most everywhere, and most stores she needed were within walking distance, except the local Walmart. So during a visit, she thought of a few things she needed from the store. No big deal, we head over there. We wandered around and gathered the supplies she needed. A few school supplies, a movie that had just been released, some fabric for her latest cosplay idea. And we're looking over the game case, commenting on some recent releases and mulling a purchase. Enter customer. Customer. Excuse me, I need a game out of here. Would you unlock it for me? Me. Sorry, I don't work here, but I see the guy with the keys right over there. It's my day off. I'm not in anything that could remotely be construed as dress code for Walmart, much less a name tag. Customer. No, I recognize you. I know you work here. Please stop being another lazy freak and get me that game. Me. Mom. I'm sorry. I don't work here. I can't open any cases. Customer. Shut up. Look, I get it. You're lazy. You're flirting with the little silly there. You think you're gonna get in her pants. You work here. It's your job to provide customer service. Me. Mom. This is my niece. She attends college here. I don't even live in this town. Please leave. Customer. What's your manager's name? I'm going to file a complaint. At this point, I realize I can have a little fun with this, especially as my manager at the time has a love of snarky behavior and a no-nonsense attitude when it comes to customers like this. I gave her my manager's name and cell number, knowing he was also off that day. He listens to the complaint, then asks which store she's in, because that doesn't sound like the kind of person he wants working under him. She's confused, but gives the college town name. I hear him laugh over the phone, loudly. Then he tells her, in no uncertain terms, that I don't work at that store and to leave me alone. He then hangs up before she can get a word in edgewise. Customer. Oh, very funny. Getting some friend of yours to cover for you. Now get me that game. At this point, the actual associate comes up and asks which game. She angrily points at it. He unlocks the case and gets a copy out. Customer. At least someone around here can do their damn job. You need to tell your coworker here to stop thinking with his privates. Local associate. Mom, he's another customer. He doesn't work here. And please don't use that sort of language in the store. Customer. Another cover story. Swear word. Local associate. Mom, please refrain from swearing in the store. There are children nearby. Customer. Swear. You and your whole. Swear word. Store and your. Swear word. Turned on employee who won't do their. Swear word jobs. Swear word. Your store. I'm going to GameStop. This attracts the attention of the store manager, who comes over to see what the commotion is. Store manager. After listening to a profanity-laden rant about the poor customer service, Mayam, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. You're harassing other customers, pointing at me and my niece, belittling my staff, pointing at the actual electronics guy, and your language is not appreciated in Walmart. The exit is this way. If you do not want to leave of your own accord, I can have the police escort you out. It finally sinks in that I was telling the truth all along. Color drained from her face as she slowly walked away. abandoning the cartload of merchandise she'd already selected. I noticed her again on our way out, just staring blankly into her steering wheel. Update. A year later. So some time ago, I posted my last post from when I was visiting my niece. I just talked to her today, and she had a surprise for me. She ran into that exact Karen, who recognized her and apologized. My niece, still in college, working on her doctorate, also runs weekly D&D games at a local game shop to help new players into role-playing. A pair of twin boys, she tells me they're 8, have been regulars since she started, and she's enjoyed having them at her table. Most of the time, they come in with their dad, and he watches them from across the room while he plays and hangs out with some of his friends. The owner knows him and the boys well, and something happened that he couldn't stick around and left the boys and my nieces, and the owners care for the duration of the session. She tries to keep it to 2 hours because kids. At the end of the session, one of the boys looks out the door and calls to his brother that their mom was there to get them. She came in and called the boys, then stopped short. My niece said she wasn't sure how the Karen recognized her, and that she had almost forgotten the incident until then and had to be jogged to remember her. But their mom approached her and introduced herself. Ironically, her name turned out to be Karen. Then had the boys go get drinks from the shop owner. Turns out, we encountered her on the worst day of her life. She had found out her husband was cheating on her and was preparing to drop divorce papers on her. She had lost her job due to cutbacks, and seeing my niece, who apparently looked a lot like her husband's mistress, just caused something to snap. She had wanted to get something for her kid to soften the blow of the divorce and the changes about to happen, and ended up going off the deep end. In the time since, she turned herself around and found a new man in her life, and had the twins with him, plus gained full custody of her kid with the first husband, and had found a new career for herself. She said that day stuck in the back of her mind as the person she least wanted to be again, and wanted to live every day being better than that. She never expected to see either of us again. Likely she never will see me again. I don't have the opportunity to go out there like I used to, but always wanted to apologize for the way she acted. Keep your hearts open, everyone. Change is indeed possible for some of these Karens. In our second story, a demanding customer complains about leaves left in her pine straw, only to face an unexpected twist when OP takes her request to an extreme, leading to yet another complaint. From r/malicious compliance. Ridiculous lawn Karen. So I make a living doing landscape maintenance, mostly for commercial properties and wealthy homeowners. Unsurprisingly, the wealthy homeowners tend to be the most difficult customers. I could probably write a book with the amount of ridiculous requests I receive. I added a new customer, Karen, real name, to my weekly route recently, and the first visit to her home was yesterday. Using Google Maps, I bid the property for 1 hour of work. When I showed up, the place was a mess. It hadn't been serviced in months. I spent 2 hours making this place look about as perfect as it could. I cleaned up 2 half-dead palm trees, trimmed all the bushes, mowed, edged, string trimmed, and cleaned up all the leaves I was able to. An hour later, Karen calls my company, me, to complain about the work done. Apparently, they blew leaves into the corner of her property and left them. Well, that's complete BS, but okay. I'll entertain the nonsense. The leaves in question were already in the back corner of the property, embedded in the pine straw, as they'd been there for quite a while. Standard practice is blowing out any loose leaves from garden beds and mulching or bagging them, which has been done. Karen didn't really want to hear the reason when I tried to explain this, and insisted I send someone out to get the remaining leaves. I went back and got every leaf off of her property, including over 75% of the pine straw. Of course, she called again to complain about her missing pine straw, at which point I reiterated the same thing I told her before. I let her know I'd be happy to replace the pine straw for $400. I haven't heard back yet. Update. So a week after the events in my initial post happened, I got a call from Karen. She asked if I was still willing to do the pine straw job for $400. I told her I'd have no problem with it, but asked why she'd want to use my services again when she wasn't satisfied with my prior work. Apparently, this lady discontinued services from 3 other landscape companies in the area and was having trouble finding anyone to do the job. I'm guessing that means they all fired her as a customer for being ridiculous. I went and did the job this morning, and upon finishing, she was at least content enough with the work that she requested bi-weekly landscape maintenance moving forward. I politely declined, and when she asked why, I told her the truth. "Ma'am, you seem to be a bit unreasonable, and I don't have the desire to deal with it." It didn't go over too well, but she paid for the work today and I left. Anyone wondering why I'd go back for the one job in the first place? It was an easy $200 profit for an hour of labor. Why not? Our third story features a Taekwondo instructor who faces a relentless Karen mom demanding special treatment for her son, leading to a string of misunderstandings and escalating complaints that culminate in a surprising call to the police. From r/entitled parents, I pay you so you, my son, can move up to. I am a Taekwondo instructor. I mainly teach the youngest 2 age groups. My younger daughter is in our Little Tiger program for 6 to 9-year-old kids. My older daughter is in the Phoenix group of 9 to 14-year-olds. The school is not commercial. All instructors teach on a voluntary basis. In fact, instructors also pay the same club fee, which is used for insurance and equipment, as all other members. So I pay for myself and my children to teach them myself. As both courses are directly after each other, I can't bring my little daughter home or pick up the older one in between. The master agreed that both my kids could stay for both courses. The older one helps with the little ones, and the younger one does the games with the older group, but then usually plays on her iPad when we do more difficult stuff. The mom of a little boy in the Tigers noticed that my daughter was allowed to stay for the big one's course and asked if her son, 6, could finally move up too, as he has already been there for 6 months and is the same age as my daughter. I tried to explain that she wasn't in the group and was only there so I could teach, but she didn't accept that. She claims when the old master, who is ill and can't do this class at the moment, did the course, she already noticed that my daughter was his favorite. He knows her from birth, so of course he is closer to her than the others, but he loves all the kids, and that she pays me a lot of money and now demands that her son is treated in the same way as my kid who doesn't even pay. I have no clue how she comes to this conclusion. She then demanded to speak to my manager. That does not even exist. The master leads the club, but there is no actual boss. But she knows there has to be a manager because she pays us money. I try to explain that she only pays for insurance and equipment, but she does not believe any of it. She actually calls the old master in the hospital to complain about me. He tells her to cancel and sign him up for a commercial club nearby. 50 euros per month instead of 70 euros per year at our club, where she could talk to managers all day. She complains to the board of the umbrella club, not the Taekwondo club, but the sports club that manages many voluntary sports in our city. They are very confused. She still does not give up. At the next lesson, she threatens to get me fired so that a real male trainer can finally take over again. I tell her that if I don't do the course, no one will do it. Voluntary work is not really popular. At the end of the lessons, she does not show up to pick her son up. I try to call her, but she ignores me. After 30 minutes, I called the police, telling them what happened. They take him after I tell them his address, and they take him home. I don't know the aftermath. Update. So we live in a small town, so people know people, and here is what I heard. First of all, I couldn't understand why she was so keen on putting him in a different age group, as kids are way taller, and they just can't really spar or anything if the gap is too big. We don't separate them by belt ranks, just by age, and they learn the same things. But working with the little ones, we do more games and learn and play, while the older ones just learn differently. But there is a difference. We do not take the youngest age group in tournaments. Those tournaments are usually a couple of hours away, and a full weekend trip. We stay in youth hostels or sleep in the hosting schools. They are just not old enough to sleep in a foreign place without parents. Well, same problem as with the course. If I drive to a tournament with the older kids, I have to bring my younger daughter. For the last tournament, 3 of my 10-year-old girls did a music form performance to the Oompa Loompa song. And because you can have 4 people on your team, they used my younger daughter as an Oompa Loompa, running around between them. It was super cute, and they won a gold medal. My younger daughter, as she was officially on that team, got a medal as well, without having done any actual taekwondo. And that is what triggered Karen Mom. My 6-year-old got a gold medal for playing an Oompa Loompa. For the police taking him home aftermath. She was very surprised when he came home. She told them it was just a misunderstanding, that he was enrolled in the second course as well, and that the master must have forgotten to tell me. So there is not much going on there. But the kid had the best day ever, got to ride in a police car, and they even gave him a teddy bear. He was the hero of preschool. What she had actually done was enroll her older daughter, different father, different last name, for trial lessons. We usually offer 3 lessons to see if it's a fit for both sides. There it clicked. I actually know the daughter who was in kindergarten with my older daughter. She then said since they had the slot for her daughter, but her daughter was sick, her son would take the lesson for her. So when she dropped him off today, she told me her daughter is sick and her son will stay for both classes. Absolutely not. I told her if she did not pick him up, I would call the police again. They would probably not be as nice the second time. She actually picked him up, and the daughter did not show up. My older daughter told me that her daughter could never have shown up anyway, because she was in volleyball at that time. I just had a long discussion with our master. He has never kicked someone out ever, but he will cancel both contracts for both kids and give them a full refund. He is such a nice guy. He would have given them a second chance after the first time, but trying it a second time was too much.